This is Vanessa Mota. I hope everyone is well today. This edition is very special. It's Hispanic Heritage. In fact, I have my necklace, which is a barrio. And this year in our art in business club, we started barrio, a blooming barrio, because barrios most of the time are looked at as something negative, and we want it to be a blooming barrio where everybody has an opportunity to grow, to bloom, uh, at any age that you are at. So today we are here in celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month. As the president of the International Chamber of Entrepreneurs, I am very honored to be here. And I thank you, Carol and CAINEM, for this great opportunity to have my show, Leading Fantastic Five. And the Leading Fantastic Five, I will be there, the moderator, and the other four are always leaders that have made a difference in the community and everywhere that they go. So today we will begin with Greg Torales. Greg Torales is the president of the South Carolina Hispanic Leadership Council and active founder of Alianza Latina of the Midlands. Mr. Torales has been a Latino community leader, advocate, and civil rights activist for over 2 decades. Mr. Torales has had the opportunity to testify before congressional hearings for unjust legislation and be a part of just legislation passed into law. Mr. Torales stated, "I have been mistaken for Honduran," and I said, "Yes, I will be the voice of the Hondurans." Also for Mexican, and I said, "Yes, I will be the voice of the Mexicans." There is no greater honor than to be the voice in the voiceless, no matter what Latino ethnicity they may be. So today we have the honor to have Mr. Torales, and I can tell you I've known him for years, and I've always seen him advocating one way or the other through phone calls out there. He's the kind of person that gets hands on. And if you ever invite him to a focus group or anything that's going on, he's there. And to me, that's a big trait of true leadership. And this is why I am very honored to have you here, Mr. Greg Torales. And I would love for you to tell us your story. How did you get to this point? How did you get to say, you know what? I am going to be the voice for the voiceless, because it's not easy. People may see that it's just, oh, he's just voicing for people. No, that's a big job.
Uh, First of all, Vanessa, thank you very much. I promise I did not pay her to say those things about me. But actually, when I first started, my thought process was basic. When I was advocating, was education, employment, things like that, and I never thought about any other ethnicity when I first started. Like the first 2 years, I was fortunate to have a good mentor, and as I continue to meet folks, I continue to, expand my horizons and meeting folks from Ecuador, Honduras, San Salvador, and hearing their issues were totally different from what I was focused on, because I was focused on, I'm an American citizen, I'm on education, employment, but there was a whole array of other issues that were going on also with my Latino brothers and sisters that I was not aware of. And the more I became aware of it, the more I became an advocate and an activist in that process, because we all have those issues that happen when we're trying to look at or care for our family. One of the biggest things that we as Latinos are, family means a lot to us, and we follow that. And that's the one commonality that I saw from Central America to South America to the Caribbean to Mexico. Family was the big issue. So I started advocating in for proper immigration reform, for DACA students, things of that nature that, became my biggest issue. And over time, I was fortunate enough to connect with folks that were our legislators, our politicians. I always tell folks, I work in the political world, but I promise you I'm not a politician. But I have to work with them in order to ensure that the Latino voice is heard. So I've been fortunate in being having the ability to be able to connect and be out there and let them know, hey, we're not going anywhere. We're here, and when I first started, I was knocking on doors, for our legislators, and they didn't want to hear it. The next year, I mean, consistency was, if there's anything, consistency is the most important piece for us to create change in this world. And I was consistent every year, knocking on that door saying, hey, we're not going anywhere. We're still here, and that helped develop those relationships that I needed to start creating those changes that we need to happen.
Okay. So let me ask you, what issue impacted you the most to create the persona that you are today? To really, there must have been something, that one issue that said, this is it, this is what I'm doing.
Well, in I always tell folks, my grandfather was a pastor of one of the biggest churches in Puerto Rico, and he was many faces before any of them existed. He would go to the courts and advocate for people to be released. He would bring them home, feed them, give them clothing, help them get a job, help them get housing, things of that nature. And he was always that voice for the voiceless. And that was one thing. He was the biggest impact in my life, that he always said, you don't judge anyone. And if somebody needs a hand up, you give it to them. And so he was the first voice for the voiceless that I looked at it. And today I try to fill those shoes. Those are some big shoes to fill. But I try to do the best I can. And every night when I go to bed, my conscience is clear that, I've done my best for the day, and what can I do better tomorrow?
Okay, good. What about the DACA students? I see that you mentioned, can you tell me how do you feel about the whole DACA laws and what's been happening in the past year or years, whether they're going to take it out or whether they're going to implement the law or make it better? But what are your thoughts on all of that?
Well, I think the DACA students, I think we need that needs to be a separate legislation. We need to let those DACA students have the pathway to citizenship. I with the Leadership Council, we've been giving away scholarships, tons of thousands and thousands of dollars to Hispanic recipients graduating from high school, and many of them DACA students that were going on to college, and the plain fact that they may have grown in a particular state but are charged out of state tuition, to me, is a travesty. So I will continue to advocate for the DACA students to get that path to citizenship, so they can go to school and be able to afford it. I mean, it's bad enough for the American citizens getting student debt. Now imagine a DACA student getting twice the amount of debt, and I think we need to separate that from immigration reform, because those are two different pieces.
Yeah.
These are children, the DACA ones, and or young adults, students, and I have better faith that we can pass that legislation faster than we can pass proper immigration reform.
Okay, good. Why do you have that faith in that? What is that piece that tells you we will be able to get this before we can get the immigration reform? When you have many people here who need that immigration reform as well.
Well, we've had the ability, and I've had the pleasure. There was the original six, in which we have worked with some of the senators behind closed doors. And a couple years back, we had 3 Democrats, 3 Republicans who had created a proper immigration reform legislation. Fortunately, we had one particular party that was controlling everything, and we had enough votes to get it passed. But The Senate chair never placed it on the floor for a vote. So everyone has children, nieces, nephews, grandchildren. Everyone can relate to, a young adult or a child, and that I think will gather more sympathy for that road to citizenship than us continuing to fight to get these 11 million in
Okay.
some form of, so I think the lower number helps us with the DACA students in regards to the higher number, because we've had it. We had a bipartisan bill, proper immigration reform. It took steps to ensure, but it was never put on the Senate floor for a vote.
Okay, wow. I'm very intrigued with all the information. You're like a river, ocean of information. This is really awesome, Greg. One of the things, can you please explain to us what's the difference between working with the politicians and being a politician? Because people still, whether you say it, people still get it confused. They're like, oh, he's a politician.
Well, being a politician, sometimes, your intentions may be good, but you're beholden to those that actually give you money for your campaign and for you to be reelected. So there are certain legislations that you would vote for in regards to those folks that give you money, in order for you to stay a senator or a congressman or a city councilman, a mayor, whatever. Um, Not being a politician, but working in the political world, I get to walk away and say, no, I'm not going to, I don't have to sell my soul to the devil. I get to walk away and say, no, you've taken it to the extreme. When you're ready to come back to the table at this level, I will talk to you, but I'll continue to work with the other ones who are not at that extreme. And that's the difference. The only people I'm beholden to is to God and the Latinos that I try to represent every day.
Okay. Uh, I know, do you have a business? Or I think I had heard that you have a, okay, can you tell us a little bit about your business?
Um, I have Latour Consulting.
Okay.
It started, in entrepreneurship and starting, we need more Latino businesses first and foremost. And my business started as an interpretation and transportation company working with workman's comp insurances. And then, we had SB 20 that happened in the state that I currently live in. SB 20 was an anti-immigration bill that, I fought tooth and nail. And so my business almost defaulted, went under. So, whenever you start a business, it has to be fluid. You have to be able to adjust to the economy. Perfect example today of what's happening with this pandemic, and so I was able to adjust it. I changed the name of it, made it a consulting. I started working with, doing marketing, reaching out to law firms that, did workman's comp and establishing contracts with them, working with legislators on how to reach the Latino community constituents for voting, and was able to not default because I was able to adapt. And that's one of the most important things when you're trying to be an entrepreneur and have a business. You have to be able to be flexible. It cannot be rigid or you will sink.
It's very disruptive. I mean, you don't hear a lot of political consultants that are bridging into the Latino community. So that's a very disruptive business. I'm very
Mhm.
proud of you. You don't hear it all the time, and it's a very, yeah, I can see it. I would love to hear more about it in another time because I'm very interested in it. I have never even thought of that, but it's a really nice thing that you're doing. And not every business, even though businesses need to know about politics, they don't get involved in it because they have to be neutral. But you're consulting politicians and connecting them to the Latino community. That is really amazing. Um,
Yes.
so what is, do you think, do you see this business growing bigger in the future? Or what are your plans in the next 1 to 2 years?
Well, I mean, as we continue to see and look at the actual, We looked at the Census Bureau. I mean, the Latino community just continues to solidify itself as one, as the largest minority in the United States. And I think that our political power will start to show. We'll start to get folks that will be elected into office more than what we currently have. The ACLU is currently fighting with Texas because they're about to redraw their districts, and they diluted the Latino vote in the last change of redistricting 10 years ago. So they're trying, the ACLU is trying to make sure that they do it fairly this time and that the Latino vote is heard. And I think that is what's going to continue to solidify as we continue to grow and have that political clout. Things are going to be seen differently for Latinos.
Thank you, Greg. And now I would love for you to give us a quote to leave. This is very amazing, all the information that you gave us today and hearing your story. How can us in the Latino community and business owners help you grow as a political consultant bridging into the Latino community? How can we help you?
Well, as always, the one thing that I ask for is, and I'm always asking, is for our scholarship, Palante. It's called Palante, means move forward. If businesses can support that, we need to continue to educate our Latino children and young adults because they're our future. And I think that is the most vital piece. If you want to support, yes, we have the legislation and all of that, but if we support and ensure that our Latino children get the education they need, they will be able to carry the torch and be able to voice very powerful, because today you can protest all you want, but the real voice is at the voters box when you go to vote. And that's where politicians actually hear. When they're getting voted out, other ones are more inclined to hear the Latino voice. So education is the biggest piece.
Thank you very much, Greg. So thank you for leaving us with
Thank you.
this, and thank you for this wonderful time. Okay.
Thank you
And
for
I
the
wish you the
opportunity.
best. All right. Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye. So that was Greg Torales. Again, this is Vanessa Mota, the president of the International Chamber of Entrepreneurs. And we are very happy here today celebrating the Hispanic Heritage Month. And as you just saw, we just heard all about the political value that the Latino community brings into this country. I call it my country because it's my country. Um, it's just beautiful. And the way we are the biggest growing minority. So please hear more about us. Next, we have Ulises Chavez. Ulises Chavez was born in Mexico City, Mexico. He moved to the US back in 2001, lived in South Carolina ever since. He is the CEO of Anglo Latino Promotions, LLC, and in which he's a multicultural event planner and producer. He connects the Anglo English speaking community and Latino community socially and through music and through all this fun stuff. So we just heard about the political side, right? Now we're hearing about the social part. He's also a marketing director for the Columbia International Festival. He does marketing and public relations, manages Mota Enterprises. He's marketing and public relations for South Carolina Latina and International Project, a freelance writer in both Spanish and English, father of two wonderful girls, married to a smart and classy woman, proud of his roots and having the privilege to connect people from all sorts, races, and beliefs through music and cultural events, creator of the Herencia Hispana Festival in Colombia, and creator of the South Carolina Hispanic Heritage Gala. It's nice to have you here, Ulysses. And I would love to ask you, what can you tell us about your story and what brought you to this point? How did you know that connecting people socially was your thing?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me one more time. It is an honor to be in this platform with you guys and CAINEM. But it's a good question, though. Like you said, we just heard the political side of the need of the Latinos and all the things that we need to accomplish as a community. However, Anglo Latino Promotions it's been evolving, throughout the time for over 10 years of existence now. But we mainly focus on we're a non-political company, so we bridge the gap between cultures through music, food, festivals, art here and there. We promote the culture. We promote everything that comes with it. We believe that everybody can come together at an event, learn from each other at a different level, despite your political beliefs and religion and sexual orientation. Anglo Latino is main focus is just to gather everybody at a social level under the same roof at events or whatever the case that we're doing, planning an event, a festival, etc.
So this is your company, but you as Ulysses Chavez, what is the importance of connecting the the culture socially? Why is that important to you as a business owner, as this social consultant for festivals, for different organizations to bridge that? Why?
I think now more than ever, Vanessa, it is important because here in the United States, we are. Although I'm Latino, but this is the country I live, and I've been here for 20 years. Sadly, we're still running into all these political views, all this racism, all these negative things within our society. So to me, that's that's the best way to break the chains of racism, of the different political views. Again, to me, hosting an event, producing an event, helping the community to get together at an event is the best way to really break through, to learn from each other, to learn about your food, your roots, your culture, things that you wear in your country. We all bleed the same color. We all, have a lot of things in common. Although our mentality sometimes is just our culture, and we stick to our own people, and that's a big setback for society. That's the way I look at things.
Okay. Okay, what is a difference you have seen when you have connected or cross-linked cultures socially?
The difference is big. I mean, first of all, the mindset changes. Once you learn about a different culture, you fall in love whether with the outfits, the music, even if you don't understand it, but the rhythm, I mean, makes you dance and makes you dive into that culture. The diversity that an event can bring and the atmosphere is just unbelievable. And once you're diving into a different culture, again, you start falling in love, and your mindset starts to change.
And I have seen something with you that you have done in the past, and it's very disruptive, and I would like for you to explain it a little bit further and why you do it. I see that because we have a stigma that, oh, we're in business, we don't make events, or we're in politics, we don't make events. And about 2 years ago, when we hosted the first South Carolina Latino Business Day, and we hired Anglo Latino Promotions, you created an event where you added social to something that was supposed to be very serious, and it was impactful and disruptive. So can you tell me a little bit more behind it? Because honestly, if you had told me this is what I'm going to do and I'm trying to have something serious, I would have been like, no, I don't think so. But because I gave it to you and you did it, I was very amazed. And to hear everybody's comments, I was super like impacted and very, very happy with the results.
Yeah,
So how do you implement that stuff? But anyways, yeah, tell us.
it is. I guess it's is the mindset that you have. Again, it's. I think it's something that you're born with. Again, we are a non-partition. We don't get into politics. So when we had the honor to actually coordinate the first ever South Carolina Latino Business Day, first of all, I will say I had to. Anglo Latino had to have its seal in it, its flavor.
Signature.
His signature, but I call it flavor. I call it flavor. It's trying to be different. That's my point right there. We are so used to see things in just one way. Why not bring in music to politics? And I've seen the change. I've seen other events, Latino events, where they're getting awards, and now they put in music, they put in dances into it, and I'm glad we started that, because that's the whole thing. That's the main reason why we do what we do, because we love to connect people in a different level through culture, music, and food, of course.
But of course, you do everything very well balanced. You're not going to bring a banda to a
Exactly.
boy
Yeah,
band.
of course. You have to keep your line, and you have to, of course, uh, see what the event is all about, and you have to keep your line, and like you said, the balance. So if it's classy, we keep it classy. If it's about dancing, we keep people dancing. So we just love what we do, and we're very grateful.
Okay. So, what is one thing that you would say has really changed uh, the atmosphere around the people that you serve or this community with the services that you offer?
One thing they have changed. Um, wow. To be honest with you, when an event is held, whether it's little or big, uh, when you see people really enjoying themselves, kids learning from other cultures, that's that's the payoff for us. That's why we do what we do, and we're going to continue doing it as long as we can, and we're going to continue connecting people throughout these events, whether they're corporate, whether they're a festival, whether they are private parties, because we also do that. So uh, the happiness on people's faces, that's priceless,
Okay.
and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Like, that's when you can tell that all the hard work, the team, and all the people that collaborates with us pays off.
Thank you very much, Ulysses. Could you leave us with a message for everybody on connecting socially and, why it is important to cross culture in a social manner?
It is crucial now more than ever. It is crucial to connect at a social level. We don't need to see color. We don't need to see race. We do not to see social status, sexual orientation, political, and religion. We need to come together. We need to socialize. That's the way to eradicate a lot of problems in our society. Being open-minded, learn from each other. Trust me. Once you start diving into a different culture, your life will turn a lot easier, and you will understand a lot of things that are happening in our society. If you allow yourself to, like you say, cross linking, that's the best way for me.
Thank you very much, Ulysses. Thank you.
Thank
So,
you.
thank you very much. And it was nice having you here today.
Thank you.
Okay. So again, this is Vanessa Mota with the International Chamber of Entrepreneurs. I would like to give credit to Dragonflies and Roses Studio for my blooming barrio necklace. And a barrio, it's normally just called a barrio, but we call it blooming barrio because we started this in our art and business club at MECBA, that it's supposed to be about blooming, about growing. So today we've heard about political, we've heard about social, and next we have Maria Martin. Uh, Maria Martin works at Pasos. So today we're going to hear more about the education on health issues and why it's important and all the differences these Latinos are making in the health in the health area arena here in the United States as well. So, Maria Martin works at Pasos of South Carolina, a community based organization hosted at the Arnold School of Public Health at the University of South Carolina. Founded in 2005, Pasos helps the Latino community and service providers work together for strong and healthy families. Maria is Pasos Executive Director since March 16, 2021. As executive director, Maria works collaboratively with the board of advisors and the Pasos leadership team in leading the mission and vision of the organization. Maria is responsible for ensuring high quality service delivery, maintaining and procuring financial sustainability, and leading the continued development of a successful and efficient organization. She enables and guides the organization in achieving short and long term goals and objectives aligned with the organization's mission and vision. Uh, PASOS, uh, for the PASOS Health Connections program and Promising Practice, PASOS Connections for Childhood Development program. These are some of the programs that are offered in PASOS, along more variety. These designations have been awarded from the National Association of Maternal and Child Health Programs. This speaks to the dedication Maria has for ensuring the quality of services and programs provided to our Latino communities in our state. Beginning in 2011, Pasos became involved with the Early Childhood Comprehensive Service Coalition and Children's Trust of South Carolina Home Visitation Coalition. And in response to their needs, to the need to reach Latino families, Pasos sought and was awarded funding in 2013 to start a statewide early childhood initiative. In May of 2014, Maria was chosen as the new Early Childhood Initiative Coordinator because of her experience in administration and development of public statewide programs. During her time as Early Childhood Initiative Coordinator, Maria was able to embed an early childhood focus across all of PASO's current programs, as well as designed and developed several new programs and models addressing the needs of Latino early childhood children and families such as PASOS. Connections for Childhood Development Program. Maria's past work experience comes from her time with the South Carolina Primary Health Care Association, a nonprofit member organization formed in response to the need of providing healthcare services in medically underserved areas across the state. At SCPHCA, Maria specifically works under the South Carolina Migrant Health Program as the Senior Manager of Administration and Outreach for the program. The program offers comprehensive primary health care and enabling services designed to improve the accessibility of quality, culturally appropriate health care services and reduce health disparities for our state's farm workers communities without health insurance. Primarily, her job duties were to manage the day-to-day operations of the program, to assure the efficient administration of the program. In addition, she administered the outreach component of the program and coordinated the outreach and advocacy network for the SCPHCA, which is designed to provide networking and training opportunities to staff from 22 statewide federally qualified community health centers and the communities they serve. The network fosters professional growth, competency building, the exchange of ideas, and statewide capacity building. The network also helps improve access to quality primary health care services and reduce health disparities for all medically underserved populations in South Carolina. Maria's community work experience began at Pro Parents of South Carolina as a Latino outreach program coordinator. In the capacity, Maria provided training and information to Latino parents, guardians of children with special needs to help them understand the services that should be offered to them in the public school system through the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Being a sibling of brother with Down syndrome, Maria understands the importance of parents being the best advocates for their children. During this time, Maria formed one of our state's first advisory councils to help guide and drive the work of one of the few Latino population reaching programs in South Carolina. Since her days of Pro Parents, Maria has been a pioneer in the work addressing the health and early childhood needs of our Latino families for the past 20 years. She has served on many of the early task groups, coalitions, advisory councils, and boards throughout her efforts to help bring the voice of our Latino communities to decision making tables that impact their lives and well being. Maria is a social worker who has a heart for the work and understands how to meet our communities where they are and how to build upon their strengths. Maria was born in El Paso, Texas, and raised in the U.S. by Mexican and Puerto Rican immigrant parents pursuing a better life in the States. She is an individual who has always sought to utilize her skills for a betterment of Latino populations. So it's an honor to have you here, Maria. Wow, you have a whole book of all the great things that you have done in your life. This is amazing. I could go on reading and reading. This is really nice. I'm very proud of you. And aside from knowing Maria, I know Maria has a heart of gold. So today I would like for you to tell us your story. And I also know your husband owns a business, so you see that side of business. So we're going to talk a little bit about all of that. So can you tell me, how did you get where you are today?
Oh my goodness. That is a loaded question. Since I've been around for quite some time, as you've read, I was reflecting on the things that you were saying and thinking to myself, wow, I did all what? I did all of that. But it's not I did, it's we did. It's we did. The many pioneers and leaders in this state that I've had the privilege to work with, that I have learned from, that together we have moved the needle on, what South Carolina can offer our Latina communities and individuals, our families. And I'm very proud of you also and everything that you all do for our communities. And, the inclusivity that you always have for all of us, because that's what it's about. So, I've worked with lots of Latino leadership, and also a lot of our brothers and sisters, African-American brothers and sisters, and Caucasian leaders as well in South Carolina, for the betterment of South Carolina, for a happier, healthier South Carolina, which is at Paso's, our vision, right, is to have a happier, healthier South Carolina with happier, healthier, including Latino families and communities. And it's been a journey. It's been a journey that started out as, you mentioned, a daughter of immigrant parents that very early on understood and saw and lived the barriers that are placed upon our communities for not speaking the language, for not quite understanding how things work in the States, and where to go for services, where to go for just the simple things of how to find a doctor, how to make an appointment, how do you talk to a doctor, when there's a need and there's not enough food to eat at home because you're going through a financial crisis. What do you do? Where do you go? Who do you talk to? How do you have access to food? How do you have information about perhaps getting a better job? Those kinds of things. And I lived that since I was a child. And my parents, to some degree, leaned on me because, I was brought up in both cultures and could speak both languages, and sometimes they leaned on me for understanding and for even helping them with communication. So it started that early on, and it stayed with me. Of course, I'm very proud of my roots, my heritage, both American and Latino, and so it's in every part of my being. It's there, and And I just, like you said, I have a heart, and I thrive seeing other people thrive and reach their full potential, because we all deserve it, and we're all made better individually, and as a community, we're all made better when we can reach those, that full potential that we all have.
I have seen it firsthand with you. Like your heart is huge. It's made of gold. Uh, and sometimes I've always wondered, and I wanted to ask you this, how, because I'm pretty sure people pull you in all directions because number one, you're very like you have a broad knowledge of things, but you've also had experience with a broad um, spectrum of, like, for example, working with disabilities, with home and like having a home, underserved communities, etc. But I see that your main goal, and bringing resources to the community, but I see that your main goal is health. So how do you, a person with such a big heart, says, okay, this is the focus, and how do you give yourself time to do the other things? I've always wondered that.
Yeah, so it starts with your personal self-care, and I had to learn that wasn't something, because like you said, in social work, and community work, you know it takes special people to do that work with big hearts, people who care about other people and their well-being. And it can take a toll on you, and there can be so many initiatives and so many things to work on, because as communities, we're complex and our needs are varied, and it could be a lot to take on. So it starts with your self-care and your focus of you as a person, and then bringing that in leadership and understanding sort of yourself and what works for you, bringing it to sort of a macro environment of an organization, and sort of doing the same thing with teams of people, where sit down as leadership with other leaders and say, okay, let's create a plan. Let's find out what are the needs based on qualitative and quantitative data, and that means maybe doing some reviews of previous like data that's been collected, having surveys, connecting directly with communities, and finding out from them directly what are the needs, what is pressing in community for you, and from there, um, choosing sort of the things that are most pressing, and creating strategic plans that say, okay, these are our goals, and you pick 2 to probably 5, might even be too much, but maybe 2 to 3 goals that you set, um, and then some objectives of, well, how would we be able to accomplish these things, even down to like, what are the tasks that would help us get there, and really honing in on what's really important, and understanding what the needs are, so that you're addressing communities in a way that makes sense to them based on what they're needing. So
So you
it
do
is
a lot of strategic thinking and planning, right?
yeah.
That's
So
really good.
having a good heart is amazing, and it is like the start of, okay, I'm passionate about this work, but then there has to be a science to
Okay.
actually making those steps, those strides, moving the needle in the right direction for the betterment of individuals, families, and communities, right? So it's keeping that balance.
Okay, good. So let me ask you another question. So, how important is health in the Latino community? How crucial is it? Like, how is it affecting the Latino community? Do they really take care of themselves? I mean, is there a large population that does not care or doesn't know how to do it? What are the things that you're seeing at your end as a health expert? with PASOs and everything?
So, PASOs, we address, our goal is we're not like medical providers. We're not, clinical health providers. We are the supports that our medical, our clinical systems might need in order to access community, understand what they need, so that the medical field can do their work in helping them holistically meet a person where they are and help them become the healthiest that they can be, right? And by that I mean PASOS addresses things that we refer to as social determinants of health and also access to care. And so we are a bridge between systems, health systems, but many other systems as well. Health is a big one, a big part of what we address, but there's many, many needs that our communities have. And so we like to be able to connect them as a bridge. We help the community be able to access, right? So like legal services, you mentioned that we have a Connections for Child Development program, which, we are very also focused on helping our children and the future of South Carolina. And so working with parents to understand the development of their children is super important. And so connecting them to all of those resources is what we're experts of. We're experts of our communities and our people. And why are we experts of that? Is because how we recruit, and our model is through the community health worker model, which means that our leadership and the folks that are the liaisons, like working with community, connecting them, are a part of the communities that they serve. And so who is the best expert of anyone if it's not yourself, right? So
yeah, that is true.
That is what we pride our work in. And so you asked me about health and health related issues among the Latino community. And I can tell you that health is very important to Latino individuals and families. I think sometimes health is not our priority as Latino individuals and families, sometimes because there's other sort of issues or problems that we face, and they can take precedent over, our health. Sometimes when you have perhaps a family who, just lost their employment, I don't know, due to COVID or these kinds of things. This is hypothetically speaking, your health kind of takes a back, right? Like, I really need to just figure out right now how I'm going to pay rent, how I'm going to feed my family. My kids need to keep going to school, and my particular health right now is not the top priority I need to be addressing. However, our community health workers really are amazing at being able to navigate all of the needs a family might have or an individual might have by starting out with what is the priority, and then working their way through, each of the needs, and how do we connect this individual, this family, to each of the things that they're in need of. How do we follow up? We follow up with them. We make sure that we've either shown them how to do it, or if there's a situation where we might need to step in and help them, like make an appointment and things like that, we will help with that. But we're definitely always closing the loop on all of their needs to make sure that we've got them on the way to meet with the experts, the health expert, the early education experts that can help them. Part of our work is also advocacy. So making sure that our systems in South Carolina are well prepared to receive Latino families and individuals and serve them in a way that makes sense. So like connecting them to services where they have the language service. They may not have bilingual, bicultural staff, but they have a way or a means to meet that family's needs. So that's also super important. We work with our systems of care to help them understand. Again, we're experts in our Latino communities, our staff, we have 10 countries represented across the state. We go find out and we get somebody who is an expert to help us better understand as well.
Thank you very much, Maria. No, I love your passion. I love your passion. And
Thank
honestly,
you.
I really admire everything that you do. I would love for you to leave us with a quote on why health is important in the Latino in every community, biracial,
Wow.
every community, because together we are one.
Yes, we are. And, health is very important. I think I'll leave you with a couple of things. One thing is that I think my motto or what keeps me going every day is that I promised myself that I would not, rest my work until Latinos stop being an afterthought in South Carolina. The other thing I leave you with is that, health is everything. If I wake up in the morning and I don't feel good, I feel lethargic or my feet hurt, these kinds of things, it's hard for me to function throughout the rest of the day. It's hard for me to give my best self to others and to myself for that day. So we do need to prioritize our health. We need to look at individually, what can we do? Again, it's just kind of like that self-care that I talked about earlier. And then how do we bring that to sort of a macro level in our communities? It goes back to that. Like, what do I myself need to do? And we're all a work in progress. No judgment towards yourself first, and then each other, right? And understanding collectively as a community what is going to get us there. There's a lot of great work happening right now to help South Carolina get to that point. And I'm gonna tell you what, in the 20 years that I've worked, I'm seeing where, Latinos were not an afterthought. And again, it's not just because of the work of Maria Martin, it's the work of all of us. And I'm so proud of South Carolina. I know we have a lot more work to do, much more to do, but we've come a long way in the 20 years that I've been around in the work, 20 plus years. So I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful for the privilege to be in this space, to be, in this state and the time that I've been here. And I'm just thankful. And I try to always leverage sort of my privilege, right? And where I sit for Latinos and also everyone in South Carolina, because I'm much part of South Carolina. I've been here way too long, since '89. So this is my home. And
thank you very much, Maria. It was nice having you here today, and I really appreciate everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later. Okay, now we, last but not least, a very special woman, Iskra C. Perez Salcedo. Our time with her, I hope it's very crucial, because one of the things that I want to tell you, this year she is Charleston, South Carolina's Business of the Year. She was nominated for her hard work. She also has a beautiful book full of all the things that she's been doing. She's from Cuba. And I'm going to go through it because I really want you to hear from her. She is a mastermind. So we've heard political, social, health, these amazing people. And now you're going to hear more of all the advocacies that Iskra does. She also sits in the mayor's council for the Latino Hispanic community. She has her own business in accounting and has done so many things. She was the treasurer for the Hispanic State Parade and Festival of South Carolina. And then she worked 25 years in corporate America, that when she decided to have her own business. I really want you to hear all about Iskra. And the last time when I was speaking to the mayor's assistant, he was telling me so many beautiful things about Iskra. And I was like, yes, sir, I already know. That's why this year she is South Carolina's, Charleston, South Carolina's Business of the Year. And we are so happy and can't wait to see you there. And talk about you there. And anyways, I want you to tell your story, Iskra. Tell us,
Well,
how you got to where you're at.
first of all, Vanessa, thank you. It's an honor to be here with you. Thank you for having me. Thank you to everyone that's listening to you. I really, it's an honor to have been even nominated for this award. It's certainly an honor for any business to be named and recognized. And I think I've been recognized before, but out of all the recognitions in the past, I think this one really touches my heart because I'm being recognized for the work that I've done in my community. And it's been, years in the making. And I think that is the proudest thing that has, has made me honestly. You know, when I came to South Carolina, I think God always puts us where we need to be. I'm a big believer, and I believe that the Lord always takes us where He needs us the most. And I believe that my heart tells me that we needed to be here. As a matter of fact, we prayed very much in our church and with our church leaders about our move here because we had a whole life in Miami, in Florida, and we weren't sure that this is really where we needed to be. And we asked God to give us signs, and boy, did He! He gave us all the signs, and until He led us here, and it was shortly after we got to South Carolina. We were with our church in an immigration camp. We went to evangelize with our church on a Saturday night. The people in the church in the immigration camp asked if I could help them with their taxes. At the time, I wasn't doing income taxes. I was still working in corporate America. And I said, well, I do know how to do taxes. I have studied taxes, but it's not what I do for a living. I work in corporate, in corporate. I work as an accountant, but in the corporate world. And so they started telling me all of the issues that they were having and all of the issues that they've had in the past of people mishandling and taking advantage of them in the past years. And of course, by the end of all of these, things that they were telling me, I was like, okay, I'll be here in the morning. And of course, then the next morning after service on a Sunday afternoon, I set up shop in a community kitchen, and I went in with my laptop and a little printer, and that's where IPS was born, in an immigration camp. And as a matter of fact, I remember them asking me, how much do you charge? And I said, I don't know because I've never done this before. So you guys tell me, you give me what you can. And they were the ones that started my fees. And they started recommending people, and that's how IPS was born. After that, shortly, they started growing their own businesses. They started coming to me for help and consulting on how to open their businesses, and that's how it went on. 4 years afterwards, I got to the point where I had to make a decision, whether I continued IPS because I had it as a part-time job, and I still kept my full-time. And it got to the point where it had grown so much that I had to make a decision whether I wanted to continue with it or let it go because I couldn't do both. And so I took the leap, and here I am.
So now we're hearing how you advocate. We went again, as I said, politically, socially, health. You advocate for the immigrant farmers, and how you transition some of these farmers from picking crops into knowing, hey, I can own my own business. That's such a great advocacy because, that's what I love that. And that's what I do here in Colombia. But I love it. And that's why when I told everybody in the committee about all the work that you do and everything that you do, that's why everybody's like, no, she has to get South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, and they reviewed everything and the difference you have made in these immigrant workers, knowing that they can have their own business and have, grow. That's very big. What made you really say, this is where I'm going to be and I'm going to advocate for this group?
You know, again, it was God talking to me. I have to say, it was just God put that in. It was just God put that in my heart. And now I know that I've made the right choice. When I look at some of the businesses, some of the guys that I started, that were in that first night, that now have their own concrete businesses, and they have grown so much, and they own their own homes, not just their businesses. They own their houses, and they own their equipment, and they have all these workers that they've given jobs to. That fulfills me, because I know they're making a difference now in their own community. And so I know that God has somehow he's done what he wanted to do, and all I have been is just an instrument.
That is really nice to hear. So do you feel that businesses are also a way of growth here in the United States? And if so, why and how?
Well, absolutely. I mean, this is the land of opportunities. This is why we come to the United States. At least this is why my parents brought me as a 9-year-old, and they left Cuba. They put us all on a boat, and we went through a lot of tragic things to get here. And it was very hard to leave our country. It's not easy being an immigrant. People seem to think that we love money. We don't. We don't. It's leaving everything you love, your friends, your family behind, your languages. My parents had to come and start. They were professionals in their homeland, and they had to come and start from nothing. And it's not an easy thing to do, but they did it to give us the opportunities that they couldn't have in their countries. So being able to take that and educate ourselves, and having our own business and making them grow, it's up. I think this is the land of that opportunity. I haven't seen anywhere in the world where you can do that in such a short amount of time, and everyone has the same opportunities to do it.
So you would say that owning a business, because I have seen there are programs that tell people, oh, you can study the Mexican education here in the United States. We all know that that's not going to take them anywhere if they're still living here, because the education from other countries, you just said it yourself, your parents migrated here and couldn't even have their professions because Cuban education it's not supported here. And there are programs here like from different countries, but it's only if they go back to their country, because so you would say business education is the best for these situations?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think there's a lot of trades. Even you don't even have to go into business education. There's a lot of people there are a lot of trades that are very profitable. Most of my business are trades. They're people in construction and trades within the construction field.
And then they own businesses within the trade.
Of course, yes. And these are not things you have to study. they're just
Yeah.
things you need to be good at.
That you're passionate about and you're good. Yeah, I always say that you have your passion, and then if you make it into a business, it comes together.
Of
But it's
course,
true.
you need to have the right people, leading you. You need to be organized. You need to learn, about the legal aspects of the business. You need to get involved, in
Yeah,
your
that is
community.
true. Well, Iskra, you are so full of knowledge as well as everybody else. I am very amazed with all the things, and I can't wait to see you on the 8th, and I'm very proud of you. I would love for you to leave us with a message from you, for people out there, your community, our community.
Well, as you know, our my 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 country is now going through some hardship. We are in the process of, well, we've been in the process of wanting a democracy for a very long time, but I believe this new generation is at a point where they are definitely crying out for a change. And so I pray that everyone, please pray for my country. That is,
Yes.
I am asking everyone in the world to pray for Cuba. But I will leave you with this quote because, as you know, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
He has to go to work.
It's good to have a loving husband, right?
Yes. I will leave you. As you know, I have very good ties uh, with my past, and I believe that we all should. Just because we come to the United States, we should not forget where we come from. And I make that, and I know that you guys do an amazing job at keeping your culture. And I am very proud of what you guys have done up in Colombia, because it speaks very good of you. You guys' work is amazing.
Thank you.
Yes. So I leave you with this, which is something I've tried to leave my children with: is you can't know where you are going unless you know where you come from.
That is so true. Thank you very much, Iskra. Thank you so much.
And
Again, thank you. It was a pleasure having everyone here today. This was a dynamic, leading Fantastic Five. This is Vanessa Mota with the International Chamber of Entrepreneurs. Thank you, Carol, for believing in me. Thank you, CAINEM. I love my CAINEM family. And again, I am the United States President for the International Chamber of Entrepreneurs. Thank you, everyone. Bye.